Hey, I'm Largo. This is the lair. That is Wilhelm. Hey, Wilhelm.
Hey, how's it going?
It's getting there.
Right.
We got a great guest tonight. Without further ado, you want to just run his little promo here and bring him in?
Yeah, run that beautiful bean footage. Go.
All right.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
There he is.
Adam, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing, Jim? How you doing, Will?
Awesome.
Good. We're pleased to have you here on the Infinite playlist. We've been singing your praises, you and Jeff doing your photo stories, doing some kick-ass work there, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So we'll add a link to Adam's Time Phantom video in the description, along with the playlist that he sent us. Speaking of playlists, here is Adam's musical dossier, and it's pretty cool. See what you got for us today. Right off the bat, a banger. Don't Fear the Reaper. I love this list. Classic stuff I love listening to just in the background when I'm doing stuff here in the lair. Will, was there anything on here that jumped out at you when you saw the playlist?
You know, it's a blast from the past in a pretty weird way. This is like everything my best friend growing up with older brother used to listen to. So I know all these bands through him. And there's one on here that's quite an earworm that's been stuck in my head ever since I listened to it, and one that's a new favorite for me that I didn't really know about, but I've been listening to all the time. But I'll let you know which ones those are when we get to them.
Fair enough. Well, before we dive too deep into that, tell us a little bit about your channel, Adam. G.I. Joe: The Lost Chronicles.
Well, it's a page dedicated to 1/6 scale G.I. Joes, Migos, basically just toys that I grew up with as a child, things that really make me happy, and they're just cool. I love making photo stories. You know, growing up, the one thing I really wanted to be was in Hollywood. I wanted to be a director. I wanted to be, set builder, building props. I wanted to make movies. And with my channel, just my small little channel, in a way I get to live my fantasy of being a
sure.
Makes
that
total
movie
sense.
magic on a smaller scale. Yeah.
Yeah, create your own little world, and it's just fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
I could tell.
So he's got a lot of vintage G.I. Joe stuff that he uses in his photo stories. He's got Mego Mondays if you want to check out the Mego superheroes, Planet of the Apes, all that good stuff. Those are always fun. I had a lot of those as a kid, especially the Batman and Robin and
I gotta say this,
all that good stuff.
I said it the last time we spoke too, but you don't have to be a fan of 1/6 toys to enjoy and get a lot of entertainment out of the videos that he does. They're fun, and they harken back to I see a lot of Easter eggs from that time period, a lot of references, and also the pacing of the story seems very on par with the kind of TV shows and movies that were out at that time as well. So you did a great job of capturing that. Like I said, you don't have to be a 1/6 scale collector to enjoy these stories. They're fun no matter what.
Yeah, well, thank you, Will.
That's-
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, and I do customs, like, I love cryptids and stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
like the cartoons I grew up with, my favorite TV shows. It's just those things make me happy. You know, it takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
And especially in today's world where it's great chaos and just there's so much unhappiness. It's like it's fun
Yep.
to hark back to those days, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy
It
it,
really is.
and I'm hoping all you guys are enjoying my content.
Yeah,
too.
and that fun that you're having definitely comes through in the product that you put out, because
Oh, yeah.
like I said, as I'm watching it, I've got a smile on my face. So there's
Yeah, the enthusiasm is very infectious, and we could definitely use some more Hanna-Barbera cartoons these days.
Oh, yes.
absolutely.
Yes, Hanna-Barbera were genius. To me,
Yeah.
way ahead of time.
Oh yeah, some of their original cartoon heroes and stories that they came up with were better than stuff in the comic books. But
If you look back at like at the original Johnny Quest series,
Oh yeah.
it aired one season, 1964, and if you can find the original uncut versions of those cartoons, I mean, they're pretty gritty for the time. I mean, they carried weapons, they killed people. I mean,
yeah,
it was some racy
They had-
language. It was very much an adult cartoon.
yeah, much more in the flavor like some of the things we saw in Japan, where they it's more for adult content as far as the storylines and things.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We should do a deep dive on that, because that'd be fun.
That would be
But
fun.
let's do a deep dive on your playlist before I get sidetracked, because I can talk cartoons just like we can talk music all night.
Yeah, I could too.
So a favorite of mine, Blue Oyster Cult. This one and Godzilla are probably my top two of theirs that they did, just because they're catchy tunes. So Don't Fear the Reaper came to us in 1976, and it was written and sung by Buck Dharma, and deals with eternal love and the inevitable. If I can talk tonight, eternal love and the inevitability of death. Whew, tongue tied. Dharma wrote the song while picturing an early death for himself. He was going through a dark spell, but it brought us a fantastic song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with a heart murmur, and he really thought that he wasn't going to make it, like the next year. So he was motivated to make this song, and it's just Blue Oyster Cult is like my all-time favorite band of all time. I can remember when I first heard the song on the radio. This was 1976, and it just pulled me in. I mean, it was it was haunting, and it was mournful, and it spoke to me, and I loved it. And I know, there's been a lot of controversy about, it's about suicide and this and that, and it's not. I've seen interviews with Don Roser, Buck Dharma, and it's about, there is life after this life. Love continues into the afterlife. And to me, I was raised in a Christian home, and I always found the song to be very spiritual for me.
Yeah.
But
I thought that's what
it was. As something hopeful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always took it as, kind of live for the moment, enjoy life while you have it, and don't fear that, the inevitable end, so.
Right. I mean,
And
as we die, we do go on, and love transcends death.
Mm-hmm.
You take it with you. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you take your love with you. It continues.
I would agree. They also did not fear the cowbell, as Saturday Night Live loved to tease them about. They did like the cowbell.
Without a doubt, the greatest SNL skit
Yeah.
And it is so odd because really the cowbell is not that prominent in the song. I mean, you can hear it, but for them to focus on that and to find humor in it is just genius. You know, but you know, it is a great skit.
Yeah, I can't listen to Blue Oyster Cult now without thinking about the cowbell sketch because it really is funny.
You can. They have been eternally linked together for all time. You can't think about one without thinking about the other.
Exactly.
But you know, I love this song. You know, like I said, me and my wife are a huge Halloween enthusiast. To me, this is a perfect Halloween song. I know.
Yeah.
We always do a big deal on Halloween, and this is how we start Halloween night. Is we broadcast this song over speakers, and it gets the the trick or treating start. And you know, and
that's
this
how you
song,
call the kids for the candy.
Absolutely.
Don't fear the Reaper, kids.
And a side note, this song has been featured in no less than 68 different movies, television shows, cartoons.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to say
it has been covered by 6 other bands.
Yeah, I was going to say that while I was familiar with the song, when it was featured on the television series Stephen King's The Stand, that's when he's going through the tunnel trying to get out of New York, and they play that part. I just, I fell in love with it again. Like, it was just such a cool scene and such a great moment that I remember then grabbing the song and, and listening to it after that. So it was kind of like a resurgence for me. Yeah.
For me, I think my favorite usage of it was the movie The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
That was a good one.
Great,
yeah, that's an underrated movie in my opinion. I liked it.
Or don't forget Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah. That is true.
And Rob Zombie's version of Halloween. You know, like I said, Stephen King and Rob Zombie, that's one of their favorite bands.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny, that 6 degrees that a song will go through and how, it gets used in different ways and interpretations.
Such a good
Very
song.
Cool.
Anytime it's on, you got to listen to it.
But let's talk about some Dokken.
Dokken. This was like my friend's older brother's favorite band, so it was always rocking in his house. And, like we used to Dokken. Yeah.
You're not rocking unless you're playing Dokken.
Yeah.
There you go. I didn't realize that it came out in Europe first under a different name.
Yes.
Huh.
I can remember I first, this is when I was in the military, in the Army. I was stationed overseas in Korea. And this was the first time they had just gotten cable at the NCO club, and they were playing MTV videos. And at that time, it was videos 24/7 nonstop.
Yep.
Right. That was back when MTV actually played music instead of just a bunch of talking heads.
And me and some buddies were in there, we're drinking, and this band came on with this song, and it's like, damn, that is a good song. And it's like, who are these guys? So, went out, bought the album, loved it. I believe it came out in 1982 or 1983.
I think 82 in the States, 81 overseas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But great. And a little trivia is, I think in 1981 or 1982, Don Dokken got an invitation from Klaus Meine, who is the lead singer of Scorpions, to come overseas and do some backup vocals and background vocals, harmonies on the Blackout album, because at the time Klaus Meine was having throat surgery, and he filled in and did some background harmonies and vocals. I thought that was really interesting. And if you look on the back of the Blackout album, you'll actually see Don Dokken has credits on that album.
Cool. I didn't know that. I didn't realize he had done some backups with him. But these guys all know each other and hang out together.
Yeah, I love that.
Actually,
there's like a little collab,
Right. Well, and actually in the song "Breaking the Chains," when he says, he's claustrophobic. I got a one-way ticket. That was the ticket. Scorpion
nice.
sent him a one-way ticket to Germany, and he had to find his way back.
Oh, wow.
That's so cool. Yep.
But
a great band.
that's
I mean, Don Dawkins' vocals, I loved his vocals. George Lynch, I mean, his guitar riffs were amazing. To me, they had really good songs. They had really good lyrics. Just, you know, I'm a hair band kind of guy, but Dawkins was my favorite hair band of all of them. To me, they just had they were more refined. I don't know. I like to call them the Parisian gentlemen. They just were that good to me.
Yeah, and to me, a good test of a good metal band is if the first couple of bars of it playing, you hear it and you instantly recognize it, then you know that's one that's a classic. It stands the test of time.
Yes,
and Dawkins has quite a few of those. Breaking the Chains being top of the list for me.
Lots of good memories.
Oh yeah. There isn't a bad song on this entire freaking soundtrack, man. Heavy Metal was awesome.
Oh,
The movie was awesome. The soundtrack was awesome. I couldn't pick just one off of this soundtrack.
It is a phenomenal soundtrack. I remember when I saw this in high school, it absolutely captured my imagination. It's like I had never seen anything like it. I mean, because I was huge in the comic books. It's like a comic book, but it's like action, adventure. It was just weird. It was like I had never seen anything like it. And you could tell where they had overlaid animation over real video.
Mhm.
And I had never seen that before. And the soundtrack was killer, and just a huge, huge fan of heavy metal. And then later, a couple years later, remember they made a movie, Wizards.
Yep.
Which I thought was great too, but that doesn't get a lot of. You don't.
It's
hear
an
about
unsung
that much, but it was
classic
pretty
because
good.
it had a great. I mean, it had some political undertonings in the message, but what a great story and really well done. Very creative. A lot of the same creative guys that worked on Heavy Metal.
Yes.
And man, some cool stuff.
Fire and Ice,
it's like,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fire and Ice was.
Right. My dad was obsessed with these movies, and and that's why I was saying what year it was, because I was pretty young, but I still loved them, and I'd sit right there with my dad and watch these. And
these and the Lord of the Rings ones they did. Was it Return of the King? And it's called rotoscoping, where they would take actual footage and then put animation over the top of it. It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
but,
and I know, like Jeff said when you did hit Infinite Playlist, I was into Dungeons and Dragons too. That just played into everything that I loved, and I loved it. And another thing I liked about heavy metal was you had all these separate little mini stories, but they all had a common denominator that tied them all together. It was just very interesting. I loved it. I still love it.
Yeah, and it's very much like the magazine that inspired it. Metal Hurlant, as it's known in Europe, or Heavy Metal as we got it in the States, was a graphic novel that came out, and it had different artists who would do different stories. Mostly heavy into sci-fi, some fantasy, some mixture, and they really captured that in the movie as kind of like the spirit of what they were doing in the book.
Right.
So, well, let's talk about Heavy Metal by Don Felder. Why did you pick that one? Is out of everything on the soundtrack, why'd that one jump out at you?
Because, Don Felder, being a former member of the Eagles, just a phenomenal guitar player, great songwriter, and just that song. I remember watching Heavy Metal, and it was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Is you hear the music, it's coming in soft, then it's building, and then wham, it hits you right in the face, and then you see all the B-17 bombers, coming over, and all the flak, and this song is going, and it's like, damn, this is an awesome song, and it's like, I love it, and this is a great song when I'm cruising on my Harley. When this comes on, I will crank the volume and I'm cruising, and I almost pretend like I'm in a B-17 bomber going down the road, waiting to do my bomb drop.
Now, when you're riding, do you wear headphones or do you just have speakers on your bike?
Yeah, I have speakers on my bike.
Cool. Some people do it either way. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, I got a pretty nice sound system on my bike, and it's sufficient. I can be cruising down the road 70 miles an hour, and it's still crystal clear. Sounds great.
Nice. Very cool.
But
Yeah,
a
we've
great
got a
song.
few friends that are, who are definitely, motorheads, love getting out on their bikes on the weekend at least, and, letting the wind fly through their hair. So definitely understand
I
that.
got plenty of hair for the wind to go through.
So,
but a great song, Don Felder is an amazing artist.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say this song is linked in the description, but listen to this whole album, guys. Everything on this soundtrack is absolutely awesome. So
I got to go back.
There's not a bad song on it.
Rewatch the movie as well, because I haven't seen it in quite some time, and like I told you, just so many memories came up. Just listening to the song and then thinking about the album and the movie and my dad.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Yeah.
This I would recommend make a Saturday of it. Kick everybody else out of the house and just get this Pink Floyd's The Wall, the movie, Wizards, maybe one of the old one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and just play them back to back. Man, that's a whole afternoon. That's cool.
That is an afternoon of awesomeness.
Indeed. Speaking of awesomeness, Uriah Heep. One that most folks may not know, very groovy from back in the 70s. They did a lot of cool, just, kind of songs that you hear and you dig, but you don't know who the artist is. You hear it come up on the radio. This is one of those bands, and Easy Living is one of those songs.
Yeah, when I first heard the song Easy Living, like I said, it was kind of an obscure band, which that I had no idea even existed. Found out who they were. Just like I said, had that 70s psychedelic vibe, very groovy. Great album art.
I love that art.
Cool,
Yeah, we were talking about that on Jeff's playlist too. A lot of these bands that we like, their art on their album covers was always just spot on. Just good stuff.
Absolutely.
This is a surprise for me. I never heard of this, and I loved it. It was great.
Oh, right. You never heard this song here?
Never heard of it, and I really enjoyed it.
It's just, it's got that, to me, it's just got that psychedelic vibe to it, which I love. But getting back to like album art, I have so many bands that I love. Like some of the best album art is like Molly Hatchet. Some of those album covers. Iron Maiden.
Boston.
You would buy the album and I would stare at the album cover hours, picking out every little thing that they hidden inside. It was just awesome.
Yeah, so much. You get lost in them for
absolutely.
hours.
It's almost like Where's Waldo?
Yeah,
there was so much going on. Like Power Slave. Oh my gosh, just there's so much going on in their album covers, and I love that.
Yeah, the band Boston, I loved how they kind of did that, spaceship kind of theme for a while on their album covers, and there's a lot of good bands that do cool stuff like that, and usually it ties into whatever the storyline is for the album. If you listen to it, A side, B side, all the way through, there's some thought of how it all comes together.
Right, but getting back to Uriah Heep, I'm kind of telling my age and my my time. I mean, I'm a child of the 70s, so
your love for the 12-inch GI Joes kind of gave that away, but that's all right. I got in on it on the tail end. I was born in 71, so I got the Adventure Team. That was my Joes. Was like the 75, 76 was like the sweet spot for me for the 12-inch Joes.
Well, you got in right at the peak of Hasbro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't last much longer after that, but
No. It was a quick decline.
Yeah, we're bringing them back in our own way, doing
Yes.
customs and cool stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In our own little
But-
way, we were making it happen.
That's true. Like our buddy Michael French always says, the fans are doing the best work.
Absolutely.
But we're talking music. Don't get me sidetracked, man. No, we'll,
All right.
we'll get off on.
Will, I'm glad that you like this song and you
Yeah.
discovered these.
Yeah, and who knew they were very big in the Netherlands? I didn't know. They're very popular.
Great
there.
song, but not my favorite. There's one on here that it just blew me away.
We haven't got to it yet.
We haven't gotten to it yet.
One other thing I'll say about Uriah Heep before we move on. The 80s are known for music videos. MTV brought that to the world. These guys did a music video in 1972. And there were a few bands that put, basically most of it just them playing on stage and you're recording it. But there were a couple of videos that came out here and there back in the 70s. So,
They were ahead of their time. And to me, I think they're a very underrated band.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And this is another one, Iron Butterfly. A lot of people have heard this song and didn't know who did it.
Oh.
But for a certain group of Gen Xers, if you say Inagata Davida, they know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a phenomenal song. I can remember the first time that there was an old radio station called KZ 106 back in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they would actually play the entire 18-minute version of Ingata Davida.
Nice. And
it's like, I'm sitting there listening to this. It's like, what is going on right now? What is this song? How come it's so long? It's like this band, which I had no idea existed. It's like they got together and said, hey, guess what? Everybody gets a solo.
Yeah.
Like, the bass the guitar player gets a solo, the bass gets a solo, the drums get a solo. It's like everybody gets a solo.
Yeah, they were having a good time. You could tell they were enjoying what they were doing when you listen to this, especially the extended cut.
Yes.
Will, were you familiar with Iron Butterfly?
No, as a matter of fact, so the Simpsons covered it, right? And
yes.
Yeah. And they did in the Garden of Eden, right? That's like kind of how I became aware of it, or at least how I remember it. I'm sure I heard it, somewhere, but and then I was surprised that I think in one of the slides here, maybe it's the next slide, right? No, I think they said that it actually does have to do with derived from in the Garden of Eden. So, like, I thought that was
it's here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was going to be called In the Garden of Good and Evil, but he was so drunk at the time. That's kind of what it came out was In the Garden of Evil. And it stuck.
Awesome. It's such a great song too. Just so
it is.
So
I know it's an 18-minute song.
Yeah.
Again, this is another song. Back when I was when I lived in Georgia, me and my buddies would ride up into North Carolina, and we would crest over the Cherahalla Skyway, which was a mountain peak in North Carolina. And it was about a 21-minute ride down the descent down the mountain.
Oh.
And every time I got to the peak, I would put this song on and it would last the entire way that we were, riding down the mountain. Just awesome. I mean, so many good memories.
That sounds amazing. Like, I want to go recreate that. That sounds so cool.
It is so chilling and relaxing, and you're riding and you're hearing this, and it's just it's phenomenal. And again, this is a band from the 60s, very psychedelic. They're kind of a one-hit wonder, but I don't care.
Yep.
Great band, great.
Yep. Another great band. Were you a member of the KISS Army, sir?
I have been a member of the KISS Army since 1976.
Nice. Yeah, they've done some good stuff.
I first saw them in concert in 1978, and my very first concert was 1977, and that was Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, a lot of these bands I never got to see live when they were at their peak, but
Actually saw
stuff.
them at Six Flags over Georgia.
Oh,
Very cool.
That used to be a huge
Yeah.
venue back in the 70s and early 80s. I don't think
Yeah.
they have it anymore, but I mean, a lot of major bands
Yeah.
through Six Flags over Georgia.
Six Flags and Busch Gardens, they used to put on killer concerts. I don't know if they do that anymore.
I don't think they do.
But that was like the summer thing, was if you're going to go to amusement park, was, pick a time when they're going to do a cool concert with a band you like.
Yeah. It was like the whole thing. Yeah.
This is probably one of my favorite Kiss songs. I like Love Gun, but I Was Made for Loving You. It's just cool, man.
This is the earworm that has been playing in my head nonstop and I'm at work and it's going in my head and I can't get it out of my head. And I've heard the song before, but just when I sat down and I was listening to it in the headphones, like I said, it's just constantly. I haven't been able to stop.
And you are so welcome for that, Will. No, it's
catchy.
It's a great song. It's one of my wife's favorite Kiss songs because she's a huge. She's a heavy metal girl like me, 80s bands, but she loves the Bee Gees. She loves disco, and this was a disco vibe song.
It was,
but it was an awesome song. I know a lot of Kiss people who are hardcore Kiss fans hated the album. They hated this song, but me, I loved it. It was appropriate for the time, and that was just Kiss's way of being relevant, throughout the decades.
And a lot of people don't remember that or weren't alive to remember that. Yeah. But there was a time where, a lot of heavy rockers were switching to disco because that was what was in, or at least they were doing some disco albums. And this was Kiss doing that.
If you played this for me and made me guess who it was, like say I didn't know, well, I do know, but you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't guess, oh, this must be Kiss. Those, makeup wearing alien rockers,
Yeah.
They don't play disco, they play rock.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
love this when I was doing the research. I didn't know this, but when they performed in Australia, they actually got the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra to do the Kiss makeup. The whole orchestra had the Kiss makeup on and played with them. It's like, that is such a rock move, man. That's cool.
If you can find that on video, which you can, it is it's just, it's like the whole town became Kiss.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, all right, let's move on. I could talk Kiss all night too, but Avenged Sevenfold, a little bit darker than some of the other fare we've looked at least as far as themes. Good stuff. Will, what do you think of Hail to the King?
Yeah, I enjoyed the song. I was not aware of it until, this list. So, I've heard of Avenged Sevenfold and, obviously might have listened to it through others, but, it was good. I really enjoyed it. But I couldn't believe, this is a more recent song. It wasn't it's something that's come out recently. And I had no clue, but definitely cool. They rock.
Yeah, Avenged Sevenfold is one of those bands. I really don't care for a lot of the new bands. I listen to a lot of different music. I do listen to a lot of different bands. I think Avenged Sevenfold, their first album came out in 2001. I don't want to call them a new band because they're not. Mm-hmm. They've been around for 20-some odd years.
We're old, Adam. Anything after like 1990, to us is new. So
right,
yeah.
But when first the name Avenged Sevenfold drew me in because that is a verse from the Bible. It's in Genesis when Cain is marked by God, and it says if anybody touches Cain, they will pay. He will be avenged sevenfold, and that comes from the Bible. Just again, I love Halloween. They had a very dark, more of a heavier version of Alice Cooper, maybe, but M. Shadows, he has a phenomenal voice. I love his voice. He has a great vocal range, and I love just about every Avenged Sevenfold song that they put out. To me, they're all great songs. This one, when I hear this one, I have to turn the volume up and I'm just fist pumping and it's just, but I mean, Nightmare, I mean, oh my God, they have so many great songs. And like I said, it's for me that it is a newer band, but top of the list. I mean, top 5 of my favorite bands is Avenged Sevenfold.
Cool. Very cool. And
And
again,
and I gotta say that Burger King, you are missing out. You need to use this song in your Burger King commercials.
They really
I would not have thought of that, but they could. Yeah, that is true. Rainbow, Stone Cold. Another one, great art that just ties in with the music, as far as album covers. This is one I wasn't terribly familiar with, but listening to it, I'm like, oh yeah. It's one of those, when you hear it, you remember it, but I didn't know who did the song, but I'd heard the song before, kind of one of those things.
Right. I tell you, I love Rainbow. Rainbow was formerly Deep Purple. Richie Blackmore broke off from, they used to be Deep Purple. Richie Blackmore broke off, created Rainbow, and Ronnie James Dio was the first lead man for Rainbow. I
for a minute, he didn't stick around long, but
because he was doing the Black Sabbath thing too, and to me, it sounded a lot like Black Sabbath. And they went through a couple more lead men, but when Joe Lynn Turner became their front man, his vocals to me took Rainbow to a new level and just gave it a very refined sound that I just love. And this is the album Straight Between the Eyes. I love Stone Cold. To me, every song on that album is a hit, but I love Rainbow.
Cool. Will, did this get to
I didn't hear it, but it's a great song, and I really love that illustration for the cover. I really like it.
Yeah. It's definitely cool. Very, very well done. So, again, I will reiterate for folks at home, all this is in the playlist below. Check it out, but not just the songs that are in the playlist. Check out the whole albums, because a lot of these, you'll find some hidden gems. Definitely. Rainbow is among them. Great White, another band that, hasn't had huge success, but they've had a couple of songs that just everybody knows, or at least they know the song if they don't know who did it, kind of thing. So House of Broken Love.
Yeah, it's, I was never really, was never a huge Great White fan. I mean, Jack Russell has great vocals. But this song here, the guitar riff and the rhythm guitar, it is so bluesy. And it's like, you hear this, it's like, okay, kids, this is how you play a guitar. This is just an amazing song. And it's funny because when they wrote this song, Jack Russell and their manager, and I'm trying to think of the lead guitarist at the time, they were all going through a divorce, and they were all sitting in the manager's office. And the new manager came in and goes, "Wow, isn't this a house of broken love?" Jack Russell heard that, and they kind of took off with it and wrote the song. But to me, it's a great song.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. When I was doing the research on this, that's exactly what came up. They're talking about how everybody had gone through a breakup or divorce, and everybody was all sucked up. It's like, yep. And that's where this song came from. Yeah. So,
but it's a great song.
It is. It's a good song. And back to another banger from Blue Oyster Cult. Man, this one's deep. Yeah. I mean, it for me, this whole album, it's, how do you explain it? I mean, very psychedelic. Awesome. Yeah, yes. It's awesome. Yeah. So deep thoughts, a lot of deep thoughts when you're listening to this.
Right. Well, this album, Fire of Unknown Origin, every song in this album was written for the heavy metal movie. But they only used veterans of 1,000 Psychic Wars. And actually, the song that they wanted to use was, well, there was two, Soul Survivor and Heavy Metal Black and Silver. They thought those were going to be used in the movie, but they ended up using this song. But basically, that entire album was based around the heavy metal movie.
Cool. I didn't know
This is the
that.
one.
I
This
knew
is the-
this song in particular was for the movie. I didn't realize they had written other stuff with that intention. This is the
Yeah,
one for you, Will, that
Yeah,
that blew your mind?
I love this song. Yeah, absolutely love it. I've been listening to it constantly, and I have to go back and watch the movie again now because, like I said, this I have heard it before, and it was just buried in there. And when it came up, I just, like I said, of all the songs, I enjoyed all of them. There wasn't one song I didn't enjoy, but I love this song. Yeah, it's a new favorite. I'm really getting into Blue Oyster Cult now.
It is a great song, and it tells a great story. And if you go back and watch heavy metal and you watch the scene where this song is playing, actually the song Soul Survivor works so much better with that scene than this song. But, they're all good songs on the album, but this one is, Burning for You, but this one is like my favorite off the album.
Yeah.
So good.
And
it's almost it's like you could almost make a movie around this song.
I was going to say,
it's telling a story. It's like a warrior.
And I can see
it's great.
Yeah, I can see the influence in your photo stories with looking at your playlist and seeing the songs you're listening to. I'm like, I know he's got this in the background when he's writing those scripts and coming up with those stories, man, because it's like this stuff's in there.
Yeah, it gets in your head pretty deep, and it's like it's relaxing. It does inspire me. It motivates me when I hear these songs. It's like they're just great songs. Maybe some people out there will disagree, but I love them. And like they're from my time period. But this is, like I said, this is my favorite song off that entire album.
Oh yeah, and that's part of the joy of the Infinite playlist is a lot of the stuff that we're reintroducing to ourselves if we haven't listened to it in a while. Some of the guys watching the playlist, maybe they've never heard of this stuff. We're introducing people to some cool tunes that they didn't know they loved until they heard it, and now it's on their playlist forever. So it's a service we provide, and we're happy to do so.
And free of charge.
Moving on. That's it. That was I'm really glad playlist, man.
Lots of great memories for me with Dokken and the Blue Oyster Cult and heavy metal. Just things that I had forgotten. Obviously, if someone brought up heavy metal, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I like that," but I wasn't really thinking about it. And hearing the music from it really brings you back to that time. So, really like
it's been in the zeitgeist of our society and our pop culture for like the last decade. There aren't any good stories anymore. All of our heroes, they're getting watered down, and good storytelling seems to be getting lost. So we keep looking back to things from the 70s and the 80s and early 90s where good stories were still being told. And this playlist definitely reminded me of that, of the fact that, there's some good storytelling out there, man. We just got to find it.
Oh yeah. And Will, I'm glad there's some songs in there that maybe you hadn't heard of before and introduced you to a couple of new songs. That's cool.
Yeah, it's always a surprise, when we get the playlist and we're listening to it. And sometimes just the name of the band, you're going like, what's this? And, and then you listen to it and you're like, oh, this is great,
That is true.
It's pretty, music is amazing. It's like, food for your soul. It's just, it's hard to describe. What music does for people. It triggers memories. It triggers emotions.
It really does.
And like all this playlist, like I said, takes me back to when I was young and just good times. And, it's a great place to be.
And we find that a lot of guys in the toy collecting community in our circle at least, are creative types. You know, whether they paint or they customize or kit bash, they have a creative flair in what they do, and their soundtracks reflect that. The playlists that we see from people who do customizing, you know, you see the artistry in the music choices, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So again, G.I. Joe, The Lost Chronicles, some really cool storytelling in his photo stories. Some cool stuff for checking out ways to do some customs, whatever scale you're into, whether it be 1/6 or other. The Mego Mondays are always a treat because you get to see some cool stuff from Mego, which you know, brings back some fun memories for me. At least the superhero guys. I wasn't as much into the Planet of the Apes or the you know, like Dukes of Hazzard and some of the other toys they made, but the superhero ones, man, I always loved those. I loved what you did with Taylor from Planet of the Apes. That was a great custom. That's one of your most recent ones.
It is.
So,
it is. I know it's like, you know, like I said, I mean, getting back to Migos, I know this is the playlist, but yeah, the superheroes were always my favorite, and then Star Trek and Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
you know, there too. The rest of them I really didn't care for, but those were a lot of fun.
Yep, same here. I love the Star Trek. Those were the best of, you know, classic sci-fi toys for me. Were those Migos Star Trek figures? Those were cool.
I like the Thing figure where they printed on his costume the rock pattern.
Yes,
the rock pattern. Yes,
yeah, that was awesome.
Yep.
You know, and it just
man,
that figure just didn't work to me. He should have been. That's like you know, I have the 8-inch Hulk figure.
Yes,
but it just doesn't go with the rest of them. So they came out
short.
with a 12-inch Hulk.
Yeah,
and I put them all together. Like I'll make a group of the Avengers, and the scale is perfect. You've got
8-inch Hulk is like one of my favorites. It's one of my first toy hunt stories. I found one on the peg in the mid 80s that was from like 1977 or something like that, and he was 8 inches. And I used them with my little 3 3/4 inch guys.
There you go.
Perfect scale. Perfectly. Yeah. Yeah. He was giant, but back then, or the comics that I had, you know, Hulk was the size of a tank. You would pick up a tank and throw it. And you know, he was larger than life. So yeah, he was always that Mego Hulk. I still have him and the card and the bubble. But his rubber band, I guess, broke at some point, so he's in pieces. So I have to like restring him or something.
Fortunately for you, Wilhelm, we know some guys who know how to restring those.
Yeah.
Adam
I'd
is
love
one.
to
Of
get him going again. Yeah, such a good figure.
We'll have to do a Mego special either on the Hanging with the Helm or on Largo's Lounge. And we'll have Adam back and we'll talk Migos. But
that would be awesome.
Thank you, Amigo, for bringing an awesome playlist. And thank everybody at home for hanging out.
This has been fun.
Yeah, man. And
I love hanging with you guys. You guys are so cool and awesome, and I love any opportunity I get to hang with you guys.
Yeah,
we got to do it more often. We enjoy this. We do it because it's fun, and we love hanging with certain people. And sometimes this is the only way we can get together because everybody's got crazy schedules. So thank you for taking the time. Do come back to the playlist and you know, other things. We'll get together and do some other hangout stuff. Any other parting words of wisdom, Will, before we wrap her up tonight?
Oh, for me, no, I've got no wisdom. You know me. I'm just happy to be here.
Look at that beard. That beard is full of wisdom.
Don't take any advice from me.
Well, I will at least plug our buddies over at Hella Dope. They're always good to us, and we try to be good to them. So I'm going to run our little promo for them, and then I will sign us out, and we will see you guys the next time we do a playlist. Thanks again, Adam.
Thanks Adam. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everyone watching.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Jim.
Don't forget about check out the links below for Adam's channel and his playlist. And we will see you guys in the very near future.